the Amazon-owned Ring company with their latest Super Bowl commercial where they featured a search party feature to find missing or lost pets around the area. And this basically works where if you are somebody who has a pet missing or cannot find them, you can upload a photo to the Ring app to initiate an area-wide search using other Ring cameras around the area. Now, obviously, during the Super Bowl commercial, they framed it as this very happy and joyful thing of finding your lost pet using this technology, but in reality, it sparks a lot of concerns and questions regarding privacy and security. And especially concerning the fact that in order for this feature to work, the cameras in your Ring devices have to be constantly scanned using AI, and all of this footage is processed and analyzed by AI. So it's sounding more and more like this is not just for finding your lost dog, or so they say. And they were touting the statistics when it comes to using this product, and they were boasting about how ever since this was implemented, they have found just over one pet per day. But if you look at the national statistics when it comes to missing or lost pets, just last year, there were over 1 million reports of lost pets. So finding one pet a day barely even puts a dent in that larger number. So I'm really not sure why this is a point of celebration for them and as if this is a good thing. And granted, if you have a lost pet and your pet goes missing, obviously you want to find them, and obviously the community wants you to find them because that's the last thing that anyone would wish on anybody. At least I would hope so. But surely there are better ways of trying to find them than to implement this almost like this mass surveillance network of cameras throughout your neighborhood. So this is really just not very good. No matter how pretty they try to paint this picture, I really can't see there ever being any world where finding your lost dog is the final end use for this technology. And it's almost like a Trojan horse, if you will, when it comes to finding the reason why, they're rolling out this Trojan horse, painting it, like I said, as finding your lost dog. But in reality, I really don't see this being the reason why they are implementing this in the end game, if you will. But according to Ring themselves, there is no footage that is shared without the consent of the user. So if you get a notification on your phone saying, "Oh, we detected a dog wandering around your front yard," this could be them. You could actually share that with the community to help them in their search. But in reality, the sharing part is really not the point of all this, because the main focus and concern that people have is this constant machine analysis of, people's everyday lives, whether it's people going for a walk in the neighborhood, cars passing by, and just like the daily activities that people do around the neighborhood is really not good for anyone, in my opinion. And again, according to Ring, they assure users that the system is for pets and not humans. But if you look at Ring's history, they have used footage before in compliance with law enforcement, and they have these relationships with these police departments at the local level. So there's already a very low barrier for law enforcement to request this footage, and they can simply do it under the guise of suspicious activity instead of just a lost dog, So it's very, very concerning for the user and the privacy and security of people who own any Ring products. And already, many users have reported that it was already enabled for them by default on their cameras. And, the strategy for them, I guess, is the fastest way to get people to adopt this is to have it on by default and just implement it to every single device, and just hope that the majority of people don't even notice. Because if you have a Ring system, you've already built that trust with this brand. So there's really no reason for you to question the level of security that might be implemented on your devices. So they're not even going to check to see any of the advanced settings to see if the features like these are on. But for those who do want to opt out, if you do have Ring devices, it's kind of tucked away in the control center, and there's no switch to turn them all off. You have to go camera by camera if you have multiple devices and turn them off on a per camera basis, unfortunately. But again, really not a good feeling about this one. And, at Super Bowl parties and stuff, it might have done well there, seeing all these lost dogs reunite with their families in the commercial. But that's exactly what they were trying to do and paint it as this like feel good thing, when in reality, I can't see this ending any other way than just having this massive surveillance network. I mean, privacy is already kind of dead in the age of social media and everything, but they're kind of putting their foot down a little bit harder now and being not so subtle about it. So if I were you, I'd be very wary of any potential implementation of this in the future, aside from finding your lost dog. So I'd be very, very careful and tread lightly when it comes to this.